Hare Rama Hare Hare Govinda Yasoranandana Bhajanana Ranjana Yasoranandana Bhajanana Ranjana Kamuna Tiravana Shari Tiravana Shari Jaya Ramadhava Yami Hare Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Yasoranandana Bhajana Ranjana Vyamnadira Vana Chari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Go, Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're on text 1. Okay, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, Chapter 16, text number 1. Sutu Vacha Tatha Parikshit Vijavarya Shikshaya Mahim Mahabhagavata Sasasa Yatahi Sudyam Abhijata Kovida Samasanam Vipra Mahadgunastata Lata Parikshit Vijavarya Shikshaya Mahing Mahabhagavata Sasasa Yatahi Sudyam Abhijata Kovida Samadhisan Vipra Mahadgunastata Sutuvacha Tata Parikshit Vijavarya Shikshaya Ing Mahabhagavata Sashasa Yata Hisutyang Yata Hisutyang Habijata Kovida Madhisan Vipra Mahadgunastata Parikshit Vijavarya Shikshaya Yatahi Sudyam Abhijata Kovida Vipra Mahadgunastata Sutuvacha Suta Goswami said, Tata, thereafter, Parikshit, Maharaj Parikshit, Dvijavarya, the great twice-born Brahmanas, Sikshaya, by their instructions, Mahim, the earth, Mahabhagavata, the great devotee, Sasa, ruled, Ha, in the past, Yata, as they told it, He, certainly, Sutyam, at the time of his birth, Abhijata Kovida, expert astrologers at the time of birth, Samadhi Sun, gave their opinions, Vipra, O Brahmanas, Mahatguna, great qualities, Tata, true to that. COVID's in this word. That's what the COVID-19 is. COVID actually means knowledge. Translation purport. By His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shuddha Goswami said, O learned Brahmanas, Maharaj Parikshit then began to rule over the world as a great devotee of the Lord under the instructions of the best of the twice-born Brahmanas. He ruled by those great qualities which were foretold by expert astrologers at the time of his birth. Because they wanted to know, what's this person going to be like? And the astrologers got out all their goods and checked on it, and after checking on, they said, no problem. No problem. Purport, at the time of Maharaj Parikshit's birth, the expert astrologer, Brahmanas, foretold some of his qualities. Maharaj Parikshit developed all those qualities, being a great devotee of the Lord. The real qualification is to become a devotee of the Lord, and gradually all the good qualities worthy of possession develop. Maharaj Parikshit was a Mahabhagavat, or a first-class devotee, who was not only well-versed in the science of devotion, but also able to convert others to become devotees by his transcendental instructions. So yeah, I'm sure many people in his kingdom who weren't devotees became devotees, because he's the king. And that's the whole thing. That's the whole way Christianity spread. Constantine, King Constantine, I think his name was. He became a Christian, and Christianity from there just like spread like wildfire. First in Italy, and it spread to other parts of Europe, and then so it's amazing how it spread. One person preaching for 3 years. It's like inconceivable. And then one leader becomes a devotee, and practically the whole of Italy became Christian. And then it just spread all over. It's amazing. Maharaj Parikshit was, therefore, a devotee of the first order, and thus he used to consult great sages and learned brahmanas who could advise him by the shastras how to execute the straight administration. See, he wasn't puffed up. See, that's the problem. It's like I was talking to one person in the plane yesterday, the day before yesterday. He's from India, Rupesh, right? He got some books from me. He's nice, but he had some misconceptions, which quite often happens when people come out of India. But yeah, his complaint was, the whole caste system, just the Brahmanas, and just. I said, yeah, because the pride. They became proud of their position of being Brahmanas. There's no humility. What is it? What are the qualities of a Brahmana? Samodhamastapa shosham, shocham arjameva jnana vijnanam astikam brahmakarvas bhavas. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity. Humility is in that purity. Tolerance, honesty, wisdom. Within wisdom, humility is supposed to be there. Knowledge, renunciation. So these are the qualities of the Brahmanas, but they lost. They lost the good qualities of a Brahmana. So they from there went to hell. And the same thing in Christianity, the priests, they became proud and polluted. Kali Yuga. It's hard to be a leader in Kali Yuga, as we're experiencing also in our ISKCON society. So many of our leaders, they unfortunately couldn't last as leaders. Such great kings were more responsible than modern executive or elected executive heads because they obliged the great authorities by following their instructions left in Vedic literatures. There was no need for impractical fools to enact daily a new legislative bill and to conveniently alter it again and again to serve some purpose. Boy, it's really happening now. Oh my God. The rules and regulations were already set forth by great sages like Manu, Yajnavalkya, Parasara, and other liberated sages. And the enactments were all suitable for all ages in all places. Therefore, the rules and regulations were standard and without flaw or defect. Kings like Maharaj Parikshit had their council of advisors, and all the members of that council were either great sages or brahmanas of the first order. So he would also consult. He wouldn't just, puffed up leader just does whatever he thought. No, he would also, although he was a great devotee, so expert in all aspects, but he was still consulting with leaders. It has to be there, otherwise, the tendency is to make mistakes. Although he was so pure, I'm sure he would have done well without consultation, but that's the standard. The kshatriyas, they would have the brahmanas, and the great sages, they would consult. So important. They did not accept any salary, nor had they any necessity for such salaries. It's like Chanakya Pandit. He was the prime minister, accepted no salary. Lived in a little hut. Next to the maze. And he's still so respected. There's at Chanakapuri, that's where in New Delhi, where the administration, he's so much respected. Even Prabhupada, you would quote him so many times. The state would get the best advice without expenditure. They were themselves samadarshi, equal to everyone, both man and animal. They would not advise the king to give protection to man and instruct him to kill the poor animals. Such council members were not fools or representatives to compose a fool's paradise. They were all self-realized souls. And they knew perfectly well how all living beings in the state would be happy, both in this life and the next. They were not concerned with the hedonistic philosophy of eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy. They were philosophers in the real sense, and they knew well what is the mission of human life. Under all these obligations, the advisory council of the king would give correct directions, and the king or executive being, her executive head, being himself a qualified devotee of the Lord, would scrutinizingly follow them for the welfare of the state. I'll repeat that. Under all these obligations, the advisory council of the king would give correct directions, and the king or executive head, being himself a qualified devotee of the Lord, would scrutinizingly follow them for the welfare of the state. Prabhupada says Shastra means restriction. Restriction. Interesting statement. Because there's so many rules and regulations. Smartavya saratang Vishnu or Vishmartavya. So many rules, like thousands. One person said that you're very conservative. I said, no, I'm very lenient. If I were strict, you'd faint if you saw all the rules. So many rules. So many rules. But what does Krishna say? The regular principles of freedom. The regular principles of freedom. So if we follow the rules, then we go safely back to Godhead. Just like we have so many rules on the streets. Driving, we're driving, there's so many rules. If you follow the rules, then you have a good chance of getting where you want to go safely. A lot of the times people don't follow the rules, and therefore, people going 90, 100 miles an hour, breaking the rules or running red lights, or they break the rules, they're much more likely to not reach their destination. But if we follow the rules that Krishna gives us, there's a good chance that we'll reach the destination. What's the destination? Back home, back to God. So the rules and regulations, they get more and more subtle. It's like we have the 4 regular principles. We have the 16 round. Prabhupada was talking about these regular principles recently. He said that no gambling. Gambling here in America, it's restricted. Only a few states is it allowed, and even there's an age restriction. Why? Why is there a restriction for gambling? Because it ruins people's lives. It's one of the most addictive things that a person can get involved in. They end up gambling away their. Even Judas, he gambled away his family, his brothers, his wife. It's like, just to show how addictive this can be. And people give up their lives. They lose everything and commit suicide. Intoxication is restricted. They could drink alcohol. You have to be 18 or some places 21. Why the age? Because it said that the brain hasn't fully developed until you're 22. So people do stupid things before the brain's developed. And even to get tattoo, restriction. Because kids, when they're young, they do stupid things. They put all kinds of crazy things on their bodies, and then when they get to be 25 or 30, like, oh my God, what a stupid thing. So there's a restriction, even tattooing, which is not one of our regular principles. So no gambling, no intoxication, no meat eating. Meat eating is restricted. Not in Malacha countries, but in India, in Manu Samhita, you could only kill a goat. Restricted, only a goat. And even before you kill it, you got to whisper in its ear, I'm killing you now, you'll kill me in the future. Yeah, that's a bit, that'll be a bit of a deterrent. And that's the idea. It's not good. It's terrible. Even the killing of cows is not even mentioned in Prabhupada's book because or in the ancient Vedic, because it's just like unheard of. Like killing a baby also. It's like, what? Mother's killing a baby? It's like, it's absolutely insanity. No gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, restricted. It should be only in marriage. Actually, there's a whole movement. It's the abstinence movement. Abstinence. Girls are not having sex until they get married, and the other girls are like, "What are you nuts?" Criticizing. Well, yeah, what's wrong with that? And there's nothing. There's actually good. There's so much divorce now. It's ridiculous. Women sometimes are having affairs with 100 men before they get married, and then they think they're going to have a nice marriage. And men, what to speak of men? Yeah, even more degraded. So they're so loose, and then they think they're going to have a nice marriage. No, it's a dream. So it should be restricted. And even in household life, sex should only be for begetting children. Very strict, which is good. Austerity. Austerity is the wealth of the brahmanas. By austerity, we develop good qualities. So it's interesting. Shastra means restrictions. Yeah. The state in the days of Maharaj Yudhisthira, or Maharaj Parikshit, was a welfare state in the real sense of the term, because no one was unhappy in that state. Be he man or animal, Maharaj Parikshit was an ideal king. for a welfare state of the world. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandina Salak Chakshum Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruvena Mukam Guruvachanam Pangam Bhaite Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shri Gurum Dinadaranam Vanchakavatyubhischa Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavani Vaishnavi Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So yeah, Maharaj Pariksit. We need more Maharaj Pariksits in the world now. He would set things straight. They're called saintly kings. Saintly kings. Not only were they good administrators, but they were saints like Yudhisthira and Pariksit Maharaj. Yudhisthira, he was such a saint that Krishna fought to have him as the king. Yeah. Well, actually, he didn't fight, he almost fought. But he inspired Arjuna to fight so that Yudhisthira can be the king. And at the end of the war, Yudhisthira, he was so distraught. He was so disturbed because millions, how many millions died? 640 million. Probably the biggest war in history. And they died to have him king. So he was lamenting. He was lamenting like anything. And even Krishna tried to, appease him. He had to speak to who? Bhishma. And he's on a bed of arrows. And it's described that there were so many arrows that you couldn't put your finger through any two. But he was transcendental. A huge part of the Mahabharata is Bhishma instructing Yudhisthira. A huge part of the Mahabharata. Sridhananda Maharaj, he told me, he's translating the Mahabharata still. He said, yeah, it's huge. Nahyasha Karidrajan Pumaveda Vihitsitam. And this is one of the most important statements of Bhishma. No one can understand the plan of the Lord. Can't understand. What is his plan? So Yudhisthira is trying to understand. We can't understand. But Krishna, he always has the best plan. It may be difficult to understand, just like things might happen in our life. It happens a lot. There's that some traumatic thing happens in someone's life and they become atheists. They're called sentimental atheists. Like I have an aunt, she's blind. We were talking, I said, so you believe in God? Why should I believe in God? I'm born blind. Why did you make me blind? It's called sentimental atheism. Or if some dear one dies or gets hurt real bad and they all of a sudden they don't believe in God anymore. Sentimental atheism. They don't know the plan of the Lord. Like my aunt, she doesn't know that she lived before. Doesn't know. Ignorance. And she's blind for that reason. She did something, but she deserved to be blind. There's a lot of blind people. I don't know what someone has to do to become blind. But there's a statement that kindness will help a blind man see. And kindness will make a deaf man hear. And kindness is it's such a powerful. This is one of the natures of a Vaishnava. Very kind. Like Bhagavatam Maharaj, he came along, he found this person who was ready to kill a bull and a cow, right? And he was ready to kill him. That's what should happen. If someone goes to kill a cow, he should be killed immediately. But he asked for mercy. And Maharaj, he's kind, so no problem. But don't do this anymore. Yeah. And he said, well, you should. He sent him to a place where there's, what was it? Gambling. I think that was the fourth principle. Gambling, intoxication, meeting. But there's no place like this in your kingdom. What to do? Las Vegas. You know what Vega means? Vegas. Urges, yeah. You lose control. Las Vegas, that's where you just lose it. You lose it. You just go there and you lose it. You lose control. Vacho Vegam. Manasakroda Vegam. Jiva Vegam. Urapasta Vegam. Naitan Vegam. Yovasetaja. Sarvam Mint Vading Sisha. One who's, what is it? One who gets up, one who's Vacho Vegam. Manasakroda Vegam. One who's, yeah. Yeah, but the translation? Vacho Vegam, giving up the urge to. Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, who's given up the urge to speak, the mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals. One who's able to, to control the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the tongue, belly, is able to make disciples all over the world. So Las Vegas, they lost all control. But we're meant to control the senses. If we control the senses, if we restrict the senses, we restrict the mind, then Krishna says, the regular principles of freedom, we become free of the modes of nature. Wouldn't that be nice? People don't know about the modes of nature. They're completely controlled by them. Ignorance, passion, goodness, it's terrible. So what we're trying to do is get the thought that came to mind. Partners of devotion. It's like there's partners of crime. Throughout the world, there's criminals. They get together. Partners of crime. So we want partners of devotion. Means our mind, our intelligence, and the soul coming together with devotion for Krishna. Partners of devotion. Yeah. Now there's partners of crime all over the world. People's mind, their intelligence, and the soul is just absorbed in sinful activities. Partners of sin. Partners of crime. So we want to be partners of devotion. Our mind, our intelligence, and the soul absorbed in Krishna. This is the goal. And then that qualifies us to go back to Godhead. It's like Maharaj, he was such a Mahatma. You see, Krishna speaks about that. Mahatmanas tamam partha, diver in prakriti. That those who are great souls, who are engaged in devotional service, those who are not bewildered, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature, are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of God, original and inexhaustible. So this is a great soul, and this is Maharaj. He's in this position. And it's interesting that one time Prabhupada was preaching to a captain, and the captain was the captain of a ship. He said, I have very little time. Can you tell me which chapter is best to read? Prabhupada said, 9th chapter, most confidential knowledge. And what's interesting is that's the middle chapter, and the middle verse in the entire Bhagavad Gita is this verse, Mahatmanas tamam partha, protected. So right in the middle, there's 700 verses, There's 350, 350, 350. So that's the middle verse. Those who are not deluded, the great souls, under protection. So we want to become protected by Krishna. And how to get protected? We have to take shelter. We take shelter of Krishna, then he protects us. Otherwise, we don't want Krishna's protection, then we go into Maya. We don't want that. We've had enough of that. We've had enough of Maya. Enough is enough. The saying in America, enough is enough. Yeah. When it gets just too much, all right, enough is enough. Isn't it? So we've had enough. Enough Maya. Now we want Krishna. This is the goal. As Lord Chaitanya, when he was traveling through the forest, he would chant Krishna, 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 Krishna. Just chanting Krishna, Krishna, praying for protection. Yeah. And maintenance. It's interesting, Lord Chaitanya is playing the role of a devotee, but he's praying for this, that please maintain me, please protect me. And Prabhupada said that my disciples, they have two diseases. You know what they are? Two diseases. One, not enough afraid of Maya. We should have a fear of Maya. Maya is so powerful. Even great, 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 great sages have become bewildered by Maya. But you know what happens is sometimes we become bewildered by Maya because of offenses. And it's described that there's 6 types of offenses that we can commit to Vaishnavas. One is to commit a physical offense to a Vaishnava. That's the worst. Another one is to criticize a Vaishnava. Therefore, we don't want any criticism coming out of our throat. No criticism. No envy of a Vaishnava. When a Vaishnava comes, we should welcome him with in a nice way, that they feel welcomed. Sometimes it happens. Someone goes somewhere, they don't feel welcome. And to feel joy. If we don't feel happy upon seeing a Vaishnava, that's an offense. It gets more and more subtle. There's one more I forgot. To offend physically, then to criticize, to be envious. Can't remember. Anyway, we had to be careful. There's the 10 offenses we chant every day. Actually, it's because of these 10 offenses we don't have love for Krishna. So when we get free of those, that's why Prabhupada wanted us to chant them. This is what we have to get free of. And there's the offenses to Vaishnavas. So we have to be careful around Vaishnavas. They always have the service attitude toward the Vaishnavas. Otherwise, we become bewildered. Become bewildered by Maya. So here it says that, Prabhupada says that these great souls, they're samadarsi, equal to everyone, not just the human beings. Vidya vanya sambhane brahmane gavihastani sunichayas bhagaja pandita samada. They see with equal vision the brahmana, the cow, the elephant, the dog eater. Why? Why do they see equally? They see the soul and the super soul. Yeah. So it's not easy to see like that. It's not easy. But by practice, Practice makes perfect. Yeah. So by practice, then we get better and better and better, whatever it is we're doing. And how nice it would be, huh? To see everyone as a soul, everyone part and parcel of Krishna, and respect everyone, seeing them as part of Krishna. So, I was a little tired. Any question or comment?
Appreciate this point that we highlighting about the learned class and how we used to give administration and no expenditure. When we were in Shantipur last month, there's this photograph with a few sayings. I'm not sure who composed it, but there's a number of them there. I like these two. There's one, have faith in scriptures and noble souls, and the other one is discard utopia, but that does not concur with the scriptures and the noble soul's behavior. I like to give the example, and the noble souls are here talking about the sadhus. It's really beautiful action. We saw it there, Shantipur before.
The days will not remain the same. Do not indulge in self-laudation. Do not slander others. Non-violence is the greatest virtue. So, of course, there's subtle violence and there's gross violence, like I was mentioning. Have pity on all creatures. Have faith in scriptures and noble souls. Discard utopia that does not concur with the scriptures and the noble soul's behavior. There is no enemy greater than vanity. Yeah, we can be our own enemy. Yeah, very easily.
Connecting with what you were mentioning about how it's getting worse nowadays in terms of the administration and overall atmosphere of the people.
Yeah.
We're aligning with the noble souls and the Shastra. They said it means restriction. Then we're able to live in a civilized sphere. I appreciate that point.
Yeah, imagine if everybody was able to control their mind and senses. It'd be be a whole other world. Control anger, control lust, greed. So control is it's a big part of Krishna consciousness. Or we had so many sannyasis that they were able to control their senses. Yeah. Radhananda Swami told me we lost about half of our sannyasis. Yeah. Lack of control. Kala, Kalir, Indriya, Vairya, Varaga, Sri Bhakti, Maragya, Koti, Ruda. In the age of Kali, the enemy of the senses are very difficult to control. And the path of bhakti is spiked by millions of thorny obstacles. Prabhupada Saraswati. So yeah, very difficult. So, I mean, who are we? So many big, great souls weren't able to make it. So, but who are we? So we gotta pray especially hard for mercy, for protection, for sincerity, for a serious endeavor to become Krishna conscious. Anything else?
Well, I like this point about sentimental atheism. I think that many times we have seen that in the movies of people become atheists. We used to see that it is out of revenge, maybe against another person or against God. We have to show attitude to someone. If I, yeah, people just it just falls ego. I don't want to accept any authority. Why did God do this to me?
Yeah.
So
Foolishness is sentimental.
I don't know how to fix that. It's very difficult.
Well, try that. Hey, sorry, but you're just being sentimental. Yeah. You're giving up such a high understanding of life just because you're sentimental. This is try to understand philosophically the existence of God. You don't know the plan of God. And you're lamenting for this or that, but this is all just temporary. Yeah. So even someone's loved one dies, you have to let them know no one dies. Everyone's eternal. So you're sentimentally rejecting the existence of God because of some, a loved one dying or this happened or that happened. But this is all just temporary. Why are you taking all this temporary thing so seriously? The soul is eternal, all eternal. We don't understand what is the plan of God.
Yeah, so it's during our last program at UC Santa Cruz, there was one student who likes astrology. So he's writing a software so that he can prepare a chart to give some. So many students were interested in astrology. We were discussing after the session, and he was asking me that astrology can predict so much, you know, can predict person's life. And here we see that Maharaj Parikshit's life was predicted by the astrologers. So it seems like all decided. It's already
Predestination.
yeah, already. So I mean, what is the use of going to worship God? I mean, you can just ask an astrologer, what is going to be there, and if whatever he suggests as a fix, we can do it and see how
It
it
is kind of interesting, isn't it? But Prabhupada said when you clap your hands before the deities, the lines change. So one's karma, just like there's some people who have karma, they're gonna, get in a car crash or they're gonna get shot or something, but they take to Krishna consciousness, and the whole thing changes. All your karma changes when you take to Krishna consciousness. So you can't always predict the future for astrology, because Krishna, he's in control. So that can all change, just like all of us. And we had, I mean, I'm sure I can tell you, I had some heavy karma coming to me because of all the sinful activities. But it's described that just by chanting Hare Krishna, even it said chanting Krishna once, you become free of all the reactions of more sins than you can commit. So the one's future can be adjusted by taking to Krishna consciousness. And that's what's happening all over the world. People are, getting Prabhupada's books. They're reading Prabhupada's books. Sometimes I meet people and they'll quote a sentence out of Prabhupada's books that they really appreciate. They'll say that, "Oh, you like that? Yeah, I like that." So some people are memorizing Prabhupada's books, quoting Prabhupada's books. You ever had that happen? On books, you never had anybody quote? Yeah, it's happened a few times to me.
I had two testimonials recently. One lady in San Francisco State, she said she received SSR, Science of Self-Realization, 4 years from a devotee. I don't know, maybe an Chaitanya Prabhu or maybe that too. So she said that book changed my life. She had the book in her hand.
Uh-huh.
She said I'm still reading it,
Oh yeah.
and she attended Janmashtami in Bhakti itself.
Yeah, I've also met people that, oh yeah, I got your book. I have it right here, and they pull it out of their bag, and you could see it's been read many times. It's a well-read book, So this changes their karma.
Another person, I gave book in UC Center to 1 week ago. And he came back the next week. He said, I'm reading already. He read one chapter. He said, I could never imagine spirituality would be so logical. he said that I thought it could be just magic. Spirituality means magic. But
Well,
now
that's part of it too. But you know, it's interesting. There's sentimental atheism. There's also philosophical atheism.
Mm.
Just like there may be devotees within our society or devotees of other religions, where they believe in God, but sometimes they're doing things uh, not for God. You know, it's like everything belongs to God, but sometimes we use things only for ourselves. Kind of put God out of the picture. You know? Oh yeah, I'm a devotee of Krishna. Then they're taking everything for themselves and nothing for Krishna. A little bit. We give a little bit to Krishna. Yeah. No, but everything is meant for Krishna. So sometimes religious people forget everything is for Krishna. That's philosophical atheism. Sometimes we forget. Yeah. Quite often, there's subtle blooping in the day. We forget Krishna and we're just thinking about ourselves, satisfying ourselves. Yeah. So we have to, some have to get over the philosophical atheism. Everything for Krishna. Then of course there's the ones that just atheists that just don't even think about it. You know, just not interested. Then there's the demoniac atheists. They come up with ideas how God doesn't exist. These are the rascals. These are the biggest rascals. Big Bang theory and this theory and the chunk theory and big chunk theory. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I had a couple questions. One is I realize that there's a lot of different offenses and protocols that we need to, like subtle offenses and so forth that we need to that we need to follow. Would you say that chanting good rounds would ultimately automatically help us navigate these without even actually endeavoring for them separately?
Yeah.
Like different situations, behaviors.
Yeah, by chanting good japa, then you become completely cleansed. Like one of the offenses to the holy name is to blaspheme the devotees of the Lord who have dedicated their lives to propagation. To blaspheme any devotee is an offense. So when we chant pure japa, then we at that point we're self-realized. We realize I'm a soul.
Hmm.
Everybody's a soul, and everybody's part of Krishna, and therefore we're respectful towards everyone. So
So
yeah,
we don't have to necessarily stress too much and try to endeavor separately on making sure that we follow every, like the different etiquettes separately. We just really focus on japa and that will naturally
yeah,
take care
actually,
of the
yeah,
rest.
that's true. That's true. If we focus on pure chanting, then Krishna is so pleased that he'll purify us
Hmm.
of all contamination. Because that's surrender. We chant the holy name of Krishna purely. That's surrender. And Krishna, he reveals himself.
Because you were saying how unfortunately sometimes if you commit an offense that can affect your sadhana. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. It's called the hati mata offense. If we offend devotees, it's called the mad elephant
Mm.
offense. If a mad elephant goes into a garden, the garden is finished, right? So if we offend devotees, then it practically we of course that can destroy our creeper devotional service, but it could really mess it up and make it difficult to be Krishna conscious if we offend devotees.
Does it happen at times where you make an offense but you don't even know you are? Like in subtly? I'm just, that's one thing I always thought about.
Well, if you make a big offense, you know.
You know,
You know it's a big offense. And then there's subtle offenses, just like
yeah.
I gave the example that if you don't receive a devotee nicely, if you don't welcome a devotee like when he comes to your home or something, that's an offense. But if you don't feel joy upon seeing a devotee, that's also. So these get more and more subtle.
Yeah.
So those aren't as bad as physically harming a
Mm.
devotee or criticizing
Mm.
a devotee or being envious of a devotee. It's not that bad, but but we should avoid all offense. And if we chant japa, therefore, the emphasis on chanting good japa is so much there because this solves all the problems. If we chant good japa, then we get a connection to Krishna, and then we don't commit offenses. We see Krishna, so we don't want to commit offenses.
See. And Prabhu, my last question is
Well, just one other thing on that. You
yes.
see, if we, therefore, in Lord Chaitanya it says, Trinadapi Sinichana. One should think of himself lower than the straw on the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, ready to offer all respects to others without desiring respect for oneself. You see, if we think ourselves as small or lowly,
Mm.
who can offend us, right? But if we think we're big, then we could be easily offended. And if we also think we're small, insignificant, then why would it, I'm insignificant. Why would I think I'm bigger than, like, how can I offend anybody? Because I'm
Mm.
so low. No one's lower than me. Just like the amazing pastime of Yudhisthira and Duryodhana. Dronacharya told Yudhisthira, you go out and you find someone lower than yourself. And he told Duryodhana, go out and find someone that's superior to you. And they went out all day in the city, and Yudhisthira is trying to find somebody lower than me. He couldn't find anybody. So he went back to Dronacharya and said, Gurudev, I'm sorry, I couldn't find anybody lower than me. And Duryodhana also couldn't find anybody better than him. So he came back, said, sorry, Dronacharya, I couldn't find anybody superior to me. So then Dronacharya said, actually, by the two of you coming together, you fulfill the mission.
Mm.
Duryodhana, because you're so proud, you're lower than Yudhisthira. And Yudhisthira, because you're so humble, you're superior to Duryodhana. So the humility is where it's at. Then we won't offend anybody, and nor will anybody be able to offend us. See, humility. Therefore, this verse, "Tanadapi Snechana," it's Krishnadas Kaviraj said it to be worn around one's neck, strung by the holy name. So this humility is so important. Therefore, in the qualities of a Vaishnava in the Bhagavad Gita, or not the qualities, but what is it? Characteristics, anyway. Or what is knowledge? Humility is first. This is knowledge. Interesting. This is real knowledge. You go to the universities, you tell me, actually, real knowledge is humility. Like, what? But this is the first thing pointed out. Real knowledge is to understand that we're very small. Humility. Yeah. So important. Now go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu. So I just wanted to check this kind of thought train is good. Basically, when preaching to the like Westerners, who don't understand like Vedic culture at all or anything like that, is it bad to emphasize more on Krishna's principles that he says in the Bhagavad Gita than about Krishna himself initially? So that they don't get, because if you talk more about Krishna and you talk about the different, like the, let's say, Mahabharata, the culture and all these things, it can, maybe they feel it's more like into Indian and not like it just feels confused, like they're not really, um, uh, like it might like deter them from wanting to. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm speaking that correctly. But...
Yeah, you don't want to tell people that you're just coming to in the beginning about Krishna, or you could speak about God. You know, there's a creator. You know, give some logical, understanding that there must be a God. Like I was speaking to some person the other day, how this creation is it's so amazing. Whenever you see some amazing creation, then you know there's some intelligence behind it. Just like we have these Tesla cars now that run off, battery, and now we have so much high technology. Computers are made, so there's an intelligence behind that. But look at the universe. I mean, right now the universe, it's going from the east to the west, but it's also going from the south to the north. Every day it's going more and more north, and every day it's going east to the west. And it's so synchronized, it's unbelievable. So whenever you see something so organized, there must be an intelligence behind it. It's logical. So you can just talk about, especially speaking to people in the beginning, just logical. It's like I was telling my family members about this. I was with my family on Christmas Eve. I don't know if I said this before. Did you hear this? Christmas Eve, there was a full moon. This was about 30 years ago. So I have about six siblings, and my mother was there, and I was telling them about. I have one of them is an atheist. One of my siblings is an atheist. So I was telling them how amazing this creation is. That the astronomers, they got out their calculators to figure out when the next full moon would be on Christmas Eve. And they figured it'd be like, I don't know, 96 years or something like that. So I was explaining how this is God's creation. It's so synchronized, it's so perfect that they could figure out when the next full moon is going to be on Christmas Eve. So to think that there's no intelligence behind this amazing organization would be ridiculous. So as I'm saying this, my brother, the atheist, he shouts at me, "It's law," because I just ignored him. And then he shouted again, "It's law." And I shouted at him, "Yes, it's God's law." And he said, "God's law? I thought it was Newton's law." He thought it was just because of gravity that all this is going on. All the synchronization, it's just gravity. I mean, so I said to him, "Was the law there before Newton?" And he wouldn't say anything. So I said, "Was the law there before Newton?" Still he wouldn't say anything. I shouted, "Was the law there before Newton?" Finally he said, "Yes." He was really upset though. You give a fool good instruction, he gets angry. He was so upset because he's a big atheist. Amongst all of us, he's like materially, he's the most intelligent, so he hated that boy. So there's logic, there's good logic to understand that there's a God without going into the personality of Krishna or some of our more what's the word? Anyway, yeah.
So just to summarize, it's when it comes to like college preaching, like giving talks, is it okay to maybe instead kind of follow what, like for example, Kesha Maharaj, like the four questions, the Gita 3, like the level that they provide, rather than focusing more on like Battle of Kurukshetra, like the Mahabharata, like the actual details of that.
Unless you're talking to Indians, Indians they could identify, but yeah,
In
Westerners.
general. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Prabhu. Appreciate it.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Prabhu ki jai. Prabhu ki jai.